Welcome, welcome to Redemption Birth Podcast. I am your host, Marissa Kiru, and I am so excited that you are here. I am so grateful that you are here. Wow. You know when you have to do the damn thing, but you've been procrastinating, you are pushing it back but you just have to do the damn thing. I'm doing the damn thing right now. I am recording my first episode, my first podcast episode. This is so exciting. Wow, 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 wow. Let's talk about Redemption Birth and the Redemption Birth podcast. This is what you can expect in this space. You can expect to hear stories from women, from mothers who have experienced birth trauma within the hospital system, within the system, and having their redemption birth, like having the birth that they truly desired to experience after they've experienced birth trauma, their redemption birth, their comeback birth, their birth where they stand in their sovereignty, where they stand in their power. These are the stories that are going to be filled within the Redemption Birth podcast. And you will also hear some amazing ways for you to experience a redemption birth for yourself if that's what you are seeking, and how to heal birth trauma and how to find the wisdom within your birth trauma. This is what this space is going to be all about. And I'm so deeply grateful that you are here tuning in and listening to my first episode. The desire that I have for this podcast that I am creating, that I'm co creating with other women, other mothers, with my highest self, I desire to give a voice to mothers, to give a voice to their trauma, to share their experiences that they've had within the medical system, for you to feel their experience within redemption birth, the fire, the power, the passion, the magic behind the experience of having a redemption birth. Because it is possible. It is absolutely possible. And you will learn that from the women that are on the show, from my own experience with my 3 births. I also desire for this podcast to have an infinite impact on mothers, that this podcast and that energy and the magic that is being infused and weaved into this podcast is infinite impact for mothers to experience healing, for them to find a quicker or more, enlightened path to their sovereignty, almost like planting that seed for them to experience a redemption birth if they are coming from a space of experiencing a birth trauma within the system. I want this podcast to be like that light that you see in the dark, and you have this clear path of where you desire to go. And let this podcast be that enlightened path for you to see. Hmm. Thank you for joining me. Thank you. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. I never thought I would be making a podcast. Never ever thought. I've had a YouTube channel, which I will upload the video portion of this podcast to. Um, but yeah, I'm surprised it took me this long since I love talking. Love talking and I love, sharing, and I'm surprised it took me this long. Yeah. So, that being said, I want you to know that this is not going to be your typical podcast. It will absolutely not be your typical podcast. I am a mother of three boys, one at the current moment right now. We're in 2024. My eldest is 7, turning 8 in November. My second son, um, he is going to be 3 in 10 days. Wow, he's going to be 3 in 10 days. And my youngest is 5 months right now. So this is not going to be a typical podcast that you hear thinking that it's going to be like always peace and quiet and great audio, great video. Like, you are going to hear screaming, you are going to hear crying, you are going to hear mom probably 1,000 times and counting. You will hear laughing, you will hear my children arguing, you will hear baby crying, you will hear me cooking or chopping something, or, like, just finding that balance of creating a legacy and creating a business and balancing it with mothering. I believe that it is possible, but there is like this like sweet balance to it. Right? There's like this sweet balance with everything. There's like a sweet balance. But especially when you want to build a business and create a business and be a mother as well. And I cannot picture my life without having that balance, because my mothering is everything. My mothering is, it's everything. And it's an insight to my own self. My mothering is a path to self mastery. My mothering opens my heart more to, loving my children in the space that they're at, especially when they're experiencing, big emotions like anger and just full blown fucking tantrums. Like, oh, I'm going to go on a rant, and this is not going to be the only time. I'm going to go on tons of rants because that is how I flow. Can you tell that my son is a Gemini and I'm a little bit here, 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 here? Okay. All right. So before I start getting into my birth redemption and what I experienced within the hospital system, I wanted to get something super clear with everybody listening to this podcast. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to um, have this message conveyed through the entire podcast. Maybe I'll just send people back to the first episode, or I'll just add this document and all the show notes. I'm not sure yet. We're going to go with the flow. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to share my screen for those of you who are watching on YouTube. And if you are listening through Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I will put in the show notes the link to what I'm about to share with you. So I'm going to share my screen. Where is it? Oh, and singing. You will absolutely hear me singing quite often. Okay, so I want to share with you. Okay, I just shared my screen for those of you who are watching on YouTube. The 15 commitments. And I am still pretty new at the 15 commitments. I was introduced to this by my beautiful friend Emily Alexina when I did a QHHT session with her. That's also known as the quantum healing hypnosis technique created by Dolores Cannon. And she introduced the 15 commitments to me, and I feel that it is such a beautiful foundation to work from when we are talking about taking back our power, when we're talking about our sovereignty, when we are talking about self-responsibility, when we are talking about, yeah, just being in our own power and in alignment. Um, I feel like these 15 commitments are like the foundational piece that we need to cover. So, yeah, I'm still learning it. And these are like 15 commitments of, stepping out of the space of being a victim and stepping into your sovereign power, your sovereign truth. And yeah, so that is what I'm going to share with you right now. Like I said, there's 15 of them, and they have like, I don't want to say a higher expression and a lower expression because mm, you know what? I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to stick with like the highest expression of this commitment and then the lower expression of it. So I would love for you to read along if you are watching with me on YouTube. If you are listening to me through podcast, please go and read it. I would love for you to reflect on the questions. And when I go through them, if any of them feel a little like, ooh, that I feel something in my body, like, what is that? Like, explore that, make note of what I said and explore that sensation, explore that thought form. Um, yeah. All right, so let's go. So number one is I commit to taking full responsibility for the circumstances of my life and my physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. I commit to support others to take full responsibility for their lives. So that's the highest expression. The lowest expression would be I commit to blaming others and myself for what is wrong in the world. I commit to be a victim, villain, or a hero and take more or less than 100% responsibility. And this is a big one when it comes to birth trauma and taking back your power and stepping out of this like victimhood space. But I can make a whole podcast episode on just that specific one. Maybe I will. I'll keep that as a mental note. So number two is I commit to growing in self-awareness. I commit to regarding every interaction as an opportunity to learn. I commit to curiosity as a path to rapid learning. The lower expression is I commit to being right and to and to seeing the situation as something that is happening to me. I commit to being defensive, especially when I am certain that I am right. Number three, I commit to feeling my feelings all the way through to completion. They come and I locate them in my body, then move, breathe, and vocalize them so they release all the way through. I commit to resisting. This is the lower expression here. I commit to resisting, judging, and apologizing for my feelings. I repress, avoid, and withhold them. Number four, the higher expression is I commit to saying what is true for me. I commit to being a person to whom others can express themselves with candor. And the lower expression is I commit to withholding my truth, facts, feelings, things I imagine, and speaking in a way that allows me to try to manipulate an outcome. I commit to not listening to the other person. This is, I can feel this one in my body like, oh, yes, this is here for me. I feel that. I definitely feel that withhold my truth in so many places. And yeah, I'm really glad that I read that and I can reflect on that because oof, I feel that. I really feel that in my body. Like, oh, ooh. Okay, so number five is I commit to ending gossip, talking directly to people with whom I have an issue or concern, and encourage others to talk directly to people with whom they have an issue or concern. The lower expression is I commit to saying things about people that I have not or will not say to them. I commit to talking about people in ways I wouldn't if they were there. I commit to listening to others when they gossip. This is a big one for me too. Just gotta, take a bite of my cherry because damn. Okay. Number 6, I commit to the masterful practice of integrity, including acknowledging all authentic feelings, expressing the unarguable truth and keeping my agreements. The lowest expression or lower expression is I commit to living in completion, in incompletion by withholding my truth, denying my feelings, not keeping my agreements, and not taking 100% responsibility. Number 7, I commit to living in appreciation, fully opening to both receiving and giving appreciation. And the lower expression is I commit to feeling entitled to what's mine, resenting when it's not acknowledged in the way I want. Oh my goodness. Definitely how I express things. Hmm. Number 8 is I commit to expressing my full magnificence and to supporting and inspiring others to fully express their creativity and live in their zone of genius. The lower expression of this would be I commit to holding myself back and not realizing my full potential in living in areas of incompetence, competence, and excellence. Number 9, I commit to creating a life of play, improvisation, and laughter. I commit to seeing all of life unfold easily and effortlessly. I commit to maximizing my energy by honoring rest, renewal, and rhythm. What a big one for moms. I commit to seeing my life as serious. It requires hard work, effort, and struggle. I see play and rest as distractions from effectiveness and efficiency. Number 10 is I commit to seeing that the opposite of my story is as true or truer than my original story. I recognize that I interpret the world around me and give my stories meaning. That's a big one for alchemizing birth stories and finding the wisdom within the story. So, lower expression would be I commit to believing my stories and the meaning I give them as the truth. Number 11, I commit to being the source of my security, control, and approval. The lower expression is I commit to living from the belief that my approval, control, and security come from the outside, people, circumstances, and conditions. Number 12, I commit to experiencing that I have enough of everything, including time, money, love, energy, space, resources, etc. The lower expression is I commit to scarcity mentality, choosing to see that there is not enough for me and others in the world, and therefore I have to be conscious of making sure I get and preserve what is mine. 13, I commit to seeing all people and circumstances as allies that are perfectly suited to help me learn the most important things for my growth. The lower expression is I commit to seeing other people and circumstances as obstacles and impediments, there you go. Impediments to getting what I most want. 2 more, guys. 14, I commit to creating win for all solutions. Win for me, win for the others, win for the other person, win for the organization, win for the whole. For whatever issues, problems, concerns, or opportunities life gives me. The lower expression is I commit to seeing life as a zero-sum game, creating win-lose situations for whatever issues, problems, concerns, or opportunities life gives me. Number 15, I commit to being the resolution or solution that is needed, seeing what is missing in the world as an invitation to become that which is required. The lower expression is I commit to responding to the needs of the world with apathy or resentment and doing nothing or assigning blame to others. Ooh, that's a big one for birth trauma and finding the wisdom within the birth trauma. Wow. So this is all um, about conscious leadership. And when we are shifting from experienced birth trauma and wanting to step into our power and wanting to step into our sovereignty, we become the conscious leader of ourselves. We become the conscious leader of ourselves, and we become the, what's the word I want to look for? Hmm. I don't want to use the word hero because then that gives us a hero complex. I guess I could say we become the own savior of our story. Like we become our own hero of our own story. Okay. So those are the 15 commitments. And yeah, this is something that I just recently in the last years learned about, and it's fantastic. You really get to see where you are at. And there is no judgment because when you bring awareness to, let's say you're, thriving and living in the lower expression of a certain commitment and you catch yourself, that's when you bring the awareness there. And the awareness is where it starts to shift and consciousness comes in. And then you see it from a different perspective, or you have a greater outlook on yourself when you start to bring the awareness. Okay. I'm going to stop my screen. Okay. Oh, you know what? I think I'm going to close up on this first episode. And yeah, I think I'm going to close there. My throat's getting a little dry. I did the damn thing. I did the damn thing. So this brings me to invite you. What is the damn thing for you? What is the damn thing for you that you want to do, but you keep pushing it off and pushing it off, pushing it off? I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it later today. I'll do it next week. I'll do it in a couple weeks. I'll do it when my husband's off. I'll do it when my kids are older. I'll do it later. I'll do it another time. What is the damn thing? Do the damn thing, babe. Do the damn thing. What steps do you need to take to do the damn thing? Make a list. That's what I did. Do the damn thing. Thank you for joining me for my first episode. Make sure you share it with a friend, family, maybe not family, maybe friends. Let's stick with friends. Ah, thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to see where this goes. I'm so excited to hear the wisdom that comes from the women that are on this podcast, the Redemption Birth podcast.